Hi, this is Mary Kopczynski, the CEO of RegAlytics, with your update on this week's 13,215 regulatory alerts. Another record low for this time of year, not only with the federal government shutdown, but also I credit the Canadian Thanksgiving, Columbus Day, and Indigenous Peoples Day holidays. So the time has come. I made it all the way to the One Big Beautiful Bill section on Medicaid, and I'm in debate because I really wanted to walk through the history of why Medicaid and Medicare exist at all in the first place, but there were just a few gems this week that I needed to go over. So next week, I will go over the Medicaid changes in the One Big Beautiful Bill. So the regulator of the week, drum roll, is California, which is in second place behind Illinois for the most passed bills in 2025. They're up to 310, and 43 of those were just passed in the last 7 days. So California earned the spotlight this week by rolling out several groundbreaking measures. For starters, Governor Newsom signed a first-in-the-nation law banning certain ultra-processed foods from school cafeterias. They also enacted a tough new wage transparency law. So any California employer with more than 15 workers have to disclose pay scales and job openings. They're prohibited from seeking former salary history from any applicants, and they have to provide current employees with their pay scales upon request. They even extended the time workers can sue from 2 years to 3 and 4 if it's willful discrimination. California also passed even more bills bolstering consumer privacy. If you thought that was even possible, AB 656 will create new regulations that would enhance consumer rights, specifically with online subscription services. SB 361 requires data brokers to give additional info to the California Privacy Protection Agency, including answers about sensitive personal data like logins, government IDs, citizenship, union membership, sexual orientation, and biometric data. And they didn't stop there. They doubled down on their sanctuary stance with new protections for immigrants. So SB 48 says schools in California cannot let ICE on the property without a judicial warrant. SB 635 says local authorities can't ask food vendors to disclose any personally identifiable information, such as immigration status, to get a permit. And then we move on to the topic of the week, which is suspicious activity reporting. So the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, or FinCEN, was born in the 90s. Their role was to be a centralized place under Treasury that reviewed bank transactions for suspicious terrorist activity. So the Suspicious Activity Report, or SAR, originally was made with the collaboration of other banking entities. And I don't want to say that the current regime is in any way simple. There are subjective ways to identify suspicious transactions. And there are also bright line rules that apply depending upon if the transaction is cash, for example. Anyway, this week, FinCEN put out FAQs to clarify suspicious activity report requirements for financial institutions. And in short, most banks had come up with pretty automated solutions, and everything was basically done and dusted. But these new requirements, or I'll just say rollbacks, put more control in the bank's hands to decide if something is suspicious or not. And while I get it's supposed to be reducing the regulatory burden on financial institutions, this FAQ, in my opinion, just makes everything harder, because if you have to report it, and everyone has to report it, then you don't have to think about it. But now it's an option to report it, and now you do have to think about it. Last but not least, President Trump approved the Ambler Road project in Alaska. This is a 211-mile road connecting the Dalton Highway to critical mineral deposits. This is also a road that Trump approved and then Biden rejected, and now Trump is approving again. So we will see if it gets built. In the meantime, tune in next week for the update on Medicare. And that's it this week for RegAlytics. We have the global supply chain of the world's regulatory alerts in one very easy to use place. If you need a solution for anything related to regulation, give us a call.